And that's, you know, I said we want to see that light at the end of the tunnel. If we could see what that end goal was,
yep,
and we knew, okay, this is what we're working for, where right now it just seems to be kind of shoot from the hip. Not, as myself, I'm not seeing any clear direction as to where we're going. It's throw this out here for this country, throw this out there for that country. I want to see a clear direction. This is where we're going. Because like I said, we need to get our price up so we can pay our bills. We're not looking to become instant multi-millionaires or anything like that. We want to pay our bills, where right now a lot of these prices that we're getting paid for milk, corn, soybeans isn't much different than my dad was getting paid back in the 70s. And, you know, yeah, it's a little better, but if you look at what the price is for these products, dairy and corn and soybeans and everything, and look at how much that's gone up since the 70s, which is kind of small compared to what everything else has gone up. You know, a tractor back in the 70s, you could go buy a tractor for $75,000. Now you buy a tractor, it's $500,000. Granted, that is a big tractor, but it's what farms are needing nowadays, and so we're spending a lot more than you know, or the price of what we're paying for things, and feed and everything. It's not just tractors, it's our feed, our electricity, you know, our power to run our farms and everything. All that has gone up so much, but our prices have not, and we've been able to make do. Yeah, we produce more, we're producing more per acre than we did back in the 70s and early 80s and everything, but still the prices are not matching what everything else has gone up.
Right. Yeah. Okay, perfect. Yeah, so I think, you know, we can kind of like keep this very informal.
Okay.
You know, like I'll hit record and then we can just have a conversation.
All right.
And we could, you know, do lines over in the event that if you wanted to change something. But I guess if you wouldn't mind just starting kind of your name and kind of just tell us a little bit about your farm.
Doug Rebout. Our farm, it's a partnership. It's me, my mother, and 2 brothers. And our farm right now, we farm 4,200 acres. We milk 160 cows twice a day and sell about 200 fat Holstein steers a year. And then also on our farm have a nephew that's working full-time, another kid that works full-time for us, and then some younger nieces and nephews that help out before and after school a little bit.
Great. And how long have you guys been here? How long has the farm been around?
My mom and dad bought this farm back in 1963. Started with 240 acres, milking 40 cows.
Great. Do you mind talking a little bit about kind of you know, you grow corn here, soybean, kind of speaking to that a little bit, or maybe what else?
Yep. We have mainly corn and soybeans are the main parts of our farm. We also grow the alfalfa for feed for the cows and the animals. We grow some winter wheat, so that way we have bedding and just a different crop. We usually, for our corn and soybeans, do 2/3 corn, 1/3 soybeans, where we rotate, usually have 2 years of corn to 1 year of soybeans and rotate them around.
That's great. So, and then I just want to kind of touch base on kind of maybe just like the current kind of climate. Maybe are there, if you kind of maybe just touch on maybe some of the challenges that you guys face, or you know, maybe kind of what those challenges might be like in this current environment.
Okay. Well, farming is always a challenge because, you know, we're dealing with Mother Nature, and then our prices that we get for our crops and everything, we have no control over. So we're used to variability. But right now, in today's climate, with all these trade wars going on, it's really affecting us because this is something that we really have no control over. Anytime the word tariff gets mentioned, it seems our prices drop. And this is having a huge effect to us. For us, we usually sell about 500,000 bushel of corn a year. So if the price drops a quarter, that's $125,000 difference in our in our income for the year.
So you think it's, people might read about a trade war or kind of read about tariffs, but do you think it's possible that they don't kind of realize how seriously that, something so small like that could affect you guys or the farming community as a whole?
Yeah, I think when it comes to farming, a lot of people still have that vision of, the farmer with the straw hat and the pitchfork and stuff like that. Where farming nowadays, it's a big business. I mean, here in Wisconsin, agriculture is $88 billion industry in the state of Wisconsin. And so with these trade wars, it's agriculture that's being pulled in the middle. I don't think they realize, like I said, how much of a impact it can have on us. Like I said, just that quarter is huge. $125,000 difference on our income makes a big difference in what we can and can't do on the farm.
Yeah, and so do you think kind of what would you kind of hope to see in a trade policy, or what would kind of maybe be ideal in your eyes for a policy that would best suit your needs?
Well, when it comes to trade, I mean, I want trade that works for both countries. Whatever country we're dealing with, whether it's China, Japan, Mexico, Canada, I want something that can work good for both countries. Here in the U.S., we grow some of the best crops and products in the world. They're the safest, best in the world. And we just want to be able to get that out there to these other countries. And we want to have that availability to the countries to get that out there. We're very good at what we've done, and so to be able to get that out there, and so we can get paid for what it's worth.
Absolutely. And then in terms of what you would hope out of your elected officials, Mark, this is definitely an issue that Mark, deeply cares about and has tried to be very vocal, whether it's speaking against the Trump administration or with certain people within his administration. I guess what would you kind of hope from your elected officials to kind of understand maybe about the challenges that you all face and kind of how they could hopefully incorporate that in the policy making?
Well, I know in deals, especially like USMCA deal, that there's a deal out there, and some of our congressional members have concerns about some of the things in these. But I'm hoping that our elected officials look at this as a whole and look at what's in there and the good that it can do, not just for farmers, but for the communities and everything. Because to get these trade deals done is huge to us, but it's also huge to our communities because, okay, let's go back to that $125,000 difference on that quarter of corn. Well, right there, that's a tractor. We can't go buy, that's something we can't go spend in our communities, whether it's for a tractor or just paying our bills. So it's not only affecting us, it's also affecting all the businesses and everything else in our communities.
Right. And then kind of just a quick follow-up to that. So do you think what the crops that you've found that have gotten hit the hardest, is it corn, or are there any other ones that have...
Soybeans has been one of the biggest impacted because China has imported so much of our soybeans in over the years, and we've had such a huge trade deal. So soybeans is big, but it's everything, from corn to soybeans to dairy. It's all being impacted.
Yeah. And then so kind of just one, just kind of follow or kind of final question, unless Calvin has any that he wanted to ask. What's kind of a message that you would want to send, whether it's to members of Congress, just kind of the general public or the administration, just kind of the message that you would send of kind of, what you kind of hope to get across, or what, or it's kind of broad, but what do you hope to kind of convey to them that of the challenges that you all face and hopefully that they would address?
Well, what I'd like to get across is just that we're sitting back here watching everything that's being done out in Washington, D.C., what's being said, and we don't know if the people in Washington, D.C. fully realize what it's doing to us back here. We're sitting back here going, we need to get these trade deals done, and we're looking for that light at the end of the tunnel. You know, we're not looking for some huge deal where all of a sudden our prices jump sky high. We want to be able to make a living. We want to be able to pay our bills. And that's what we would like to get across to everyone out in Washington, D.C. and everyone else that's paying attention to all these trade deals and everything that's happening.
Great. Calvin, was there anything?
Honestly, I think like that covered a lot of. I think that was good. I think really too, we're just trying to make sure we capture kind of where things are at now within just like even like an 8-year window of like the land, what the landscape looks like. And because I remember you mentioned on the phone, I think you said we need trade, not aid, and I thought that was a really good line. And you know, I think really just so, you know, one thing I hear from a lot of other farmers is just kind of this, and you mentioned preparing for volatility is important, but just not having a clear end goal. And that's something Mark has been probably critical about with the Trump administration is it doesn't,